I knew you were a closet geek.
Yeah. Oh man, major Trekkie.
I know. And I remember it because my husband's a Trekkie and I've actually been to the convention.
Have you?
Oh, I have. I've also been to Comic-Con. I have spent more time in comic places than one would want. They always say to people that I was the original Penny before Big Bang Theory existed.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny.
And what's even better is that now my husband, who has been collecting comics since he's 7 years old, we now finally have all of them out. And I mean, in my house, being inventoried, he's finally getting ready to start selling off comics.
Wow.
And, we could have a store. He's been reading comics every single week. He's 51 since he was 7 years old.
Are you serious? Even that long?
Oh, and now he doesn't get he does the, what do you call it? The digital. He stopped getting the actual comics maybe about 7 years ago, just because he had nowhere else to put them. Yeah. And we already have offsite storage. We've had to have offsite storage for the comics for 20 years.
There's that many comic books. That's astonishing.
Oh, we have offsite storage because you can't keep them in a garage.
So I got into Comic Storian, and it's called comic book something online on YouTube. And Comic Storian is so good. It's so
you like that stuff, right? You're
because and I didn't, it's like you stumble on it. Like Comic Books Explained, that was one, and then Comic Storian. Comic Book Explained, when they first started, they were so barely they were so raw, because it was just somebody who's just doing something. And so he would do the X-Men, House of M, and he would be 8 hours of doing that the whole series, and then finally he would fine tune it, and you could see him doing all that stuff. Comic Storian was different. Comic Storian would give these kind of really expressive readings of the comic books.
Okay, this is so.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so not my thing. It's so funny, but I know more about the Marvel and DC universes than most people would. I have quite a wealth of knowledge. I know all sorts of little side stories and stuff. And sometimes it really impresses people, but I have been that person where I've walked into the comic book store and I'm the only woman and they're all looking at me
really?
Oh yeah. Back in the day, I mean, I've been with my husband since 1991. Yeah. So long, a long time. I am very familiar. I've been through this for a very long time. Wow. And
I had stopped collecting them when I was much younger. And somewhere along the way, the Comic Storian thing pulled me back in, because I would get into these long conversations with one of our neighbors. Our neighbors is a heavy comic book person, and wouldn't miss a beat, would know all of the history. And it's how do you know this? It was Comic Storian, man. He hits all of those stories. He hits all of that stuff. Yeah. And there's one where he was talking about Green Lantern, and it was Green Lantern, how Jordan became Will itself. Now think about that.
Well, I mean, and this is those things people don't understand the detail. My husband could do this. He could sit down and tell you the backstory with I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
It's so good. I mean, some of them are good. I mean, and some of the themes are so expansive. I don't think people get it. Like becoming Will itself. And then a dude, he would be God of light. He's screaming. It depends on the scene, right? When
there's enthusiasm there.
Very enthusiastic about it. The themes Lord of Chaos, Order, Thanos getting the glove, the Infinity Gauntlet, and then it's having this absolute battle of space, matter, and time. What does that mean? And they didn't even get into the fights with eternity. What does that mean? Or when you have this concept where a concept becomes an avatar, like this notion that Thanos usurps the role of eternity because of the glove and that type of stuff. And they were yeah, that's too weird to put into the movie. We don't want to go there yet. I mean,
the movies are not the best translation, obviously. They always a lot of books.
Oh, but I would have loved to see it.
So somebody's asking if I remember the death of Superman. Yes, I remember the death of Superman. My husband bought 10 of them. He was very excited about it.
Oh, I wasn't excited about that. That hurt. That hurt. The death of Superman hurt because it always felt like killing a mockingbird. Because Superman is weakened by his morality. That's his issue. Like Batman, when Batman was about to kill him, Batman's point was, if he goes rogue, we're screwed. And but Batman, for whatever particular reason, thought that he could do it. What Batman realized though was he's a good guy. He's never going to kill me back. Like he knew it. And so Batman was able to basically try to kill Superman because he knew Superman would never kill him. That like he's basically taking advantage of Superman's own.
That's the darkness. That's the darkness of Batman.
Yes.
And what I think makes Batman very popular is that he's a regular person, just has a lot of money and gear. And, and I think that's the thing that people, I do think, like about Batman is that it's dark. It's not, it is dark.
Well, it's pragmatic in a way. Like the Joker, for example. Is the Joker crazy or is the Joker just super sane? You can make an argument that he's super sane. Like none of this stuff is real. All of these things are just, like when you're making an argument over free speech. Well, it's not real. That doesn't exist. It's just a law that they put on the books. Britain doesn't have it. Many other countries don't have it. The rule set, the Bible, the laws, none of these things are real. These things are just things that we have concepts that we accrue around, that we accept.
Social constructs that we've created to create order where there is none.
Exactly. That's all there is. And the Joker is like, none of it's real. That all of you on your worst day will drop this stuff like a hot potato and will behave in other ways. And he's right. The environment creates behavior. And
so
when you're
which was the best Joker?
Heath Ledger, easy. Heath Ledger was so good.
Yeah, he was
stunningly, shockingly good as a Joker.
Yeah.
Like he had this way of making him so dark and so twisted that like when Batman was fighting, he's like, you and I are the same person. You and I are the same person. We realize that the societal stuff doesn't really apply. And what Batman doesn't get is Batman creates the Joker. Like every time the good guys, quote unquote, up their ante, the bad guys up their ante in order to compete with the other guy, just because it's a balancing. And so it's like the Joker is the balancing of act of Batman, despite the fact that Batman doesn't realize he created him. It's such a weird thing. But yeah, Heath Ledger was so good.
Comics are deep.
Huh?
Comics are deep.
Some of them are, and some of them get dark. Some of them get dark. Like the Wolverine stuff is dark. Like he's a killer, for God's sake. Punisher, dark, very dark.
Yeah, the Punisher is very dark, and that's also the only one that I really think of from like old school that had guns.
Yeah,
they didn't have guns, and
he was just the guy. Yeah, he was just the guy. There's an episode of the comics that's one of the funniest things in the world to me. It's when they have some kind of disease. It's like a zombie disease, and then everybody on Earth, including superheroes, get the disease, and the Punisher has the disease, but the Punisher is still hunting bad guys even as a zombie. It's like he's still on the mission, despite the fact he's a flesh-eating zombie at this point. No, man, those things can get deep, and those things can get. There was an episode of the Green Lantern with Star Trek. That was weird. Yeah, it was
there's
like
always these weird crossovers. Like, and what's so funny is, so now after sorting through all the comics, there's boxes that are just crossovers.
No way.
That are just all different crossovers. I mean, everything from, I'm being like exaggerating, but it could be like Superman and Mickey Mouse. But there's some that you wouldn't even realize are or the Partridge Family, or like there's some that are just so ridiculous, and yet they made real crossovers.
Yeah, they are. Or Deadpool and breaking the
Deadpool's hilarious though. That's the Deadpool's hilarious.
Deadpool is that Deadpool know that it's not real. That's the part that's wild about Deadpool. Like Deadpool knows it, and Deadpool will say stuff to break the fourth wall, where people are like, "What the hell is this stuff?" Yeah, and people, it is like the comic book characters like, "What is he talking about? What is he talking about?" And there was one of the really good ones was Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, something like that. And Deadpool he tries to get into this kind of extra dimensional stuff because he was like, look, this stuff is real. I'm just going to kill everybody that's involved in dealing with it. And when the being was able to see into his mind, the being realized it's not real. And he let him do what he wanted. Like it's this notion that Deadpool functions and operates under the guise that I know this is scripted. I know this is not real. And he has to operate regardless. And if you had to operate in a world like that, how would you behave? Like you would take it almost as a certain degree of absurdity, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't control this. This isn't necessarily real. Now, if you didn't know that you didn't control it, then it doesn't matter. You would think that every choice that you make is your own choice, and you would kind of function from that level as if you're making choices, despite the fact that the choices might be pre-made. Deadpool hits that like dead on. He's so good.
Yeah,
I mean, like
I thought those were great. I actually really liked those, and I thought that Ryan Reynolds did a great job in that role.
I love the fact that he jokes himself, like the Green Lantern movies, and he would joke.
Oh, that was hilarious because that was terrible. Like, I mean, that movie was bad. It was definitely one of the ones that I wish I didn't see. It wasn't good, but yeah, the fact that they mock that is hilarious.
It's so funny. He even mocks what's his name, Wolverine. I can't think of his name. Like he'd be joking.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. The one who's played Wolverine. He jokes him. But yeah, man. Those things can be complex. They could be really interesting in regards to their storylines.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.